My name is Glenn Gass, and I'm a professor of music at the Indiana University Jacobs School of Music.
And my name is Andy Holliden. I am a senior lecturer at the IU School of Music.
Well, my personal history is pretty old. I came here in 1978 as a graduate student, and started teaching courses on rock and the Beatles in 1982, 30 years ago. And then, to make a long story short, when I got my doctorate, the courses were sort of big, going strong, and the school decided they'd rather keep them going than have me go off and go somewhere else. So I did not think I would be here, 30 years later, but I'm very fortunate to be, and it worked out very well. And I should add, and so was Andy, a native Hoosier, proudly from Greencastle, so it makes it even more special to teach at Indiana University.
Yeah, I grew up in Indiana as well, in a little town called Tell City, 2 hours south of here. And when it came time to go to college, I knew I wanted to study music. But unfortunately, the guidance counselors at my high school didn't mention anything about the IU School of Music to me. And as a result, in 1979, I went for my freshman year of music education studies, not music education studies, but to study music, at Indiana State University over in Terre Haute. And the people there in the music school pulled me aside and they said, "Why are you here?" They said, "Don't you realize one of the best music schools in this nation is about an hour east of here?" And I said, "No, no one had told me this." So then I transferred to IU for my sophomore year, and it was almost like that scene in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy opens up the door and it goes from black and white to color. And I've been here pretty much ever since. Even though I lived away from Bloomington for a while in the 90s, Bloomington always felt like home. When I could come back to Bloomington, even though I was living someplace else, I felt like I was coming home when I came to Bloomington.
I had a similar, I went to DePaul University because I'm from Greencastle. I went there for 2 years, and nobody there ever mentioned IU. Because it's like the gorilla in the room. Like, DePaul was always so intimidated, I think, by IU. It wasn't until I transferred, went out to school in Boston, and the same thing. They said, "Why aren't you at IU?" I said, "Is this some sort of some sort of hick put down, or what is this?" It's like, "No, it's like the world's greatest music school." Really? And by God, they were right.
I think every course we teach is totally unique, really. If not the only one in the nation, probably the first. And some that have come along have been in imitation or influenced by the courses that we've developed.
I think we have the longest running and most extensive set of courses on rock and pop music anywhere. I'm sure of it. Yeah, most places have maybe one course, ragtime to hip hop, and this semester and you're done. And we've got 3 courses just for the survey of the general history, much less all these specialized courses on specific people. So it's pretty unique. Certainly unique to IU, but I think unique in general. Yeah.
I can remember when I was a kid riding around in the car with my parents and hearing a radio show where the DJ was saying, "Someday in the future they're going to teach the Beatles in college just like they teach Beethoven and Bach and whatnot." And I remember as a little kid thinking, "Oh, that'll be the day." And little did I know when I came to IU, he was doing it.
And they used to say that about jazz, and people would laugh because jazz was just, smoky clubs with a drink in your hand, and then David Baker comes along at IU and turns jazz education into a, thriving, field of study that now everybody has. So I think IU, it's so famous as a classical institution, justly so, but there's a lot of other stuff too I think we're on top of, which is great. So it should be. Unique is so obvious, but again, coming from Indiana, when I wanted to go, Greencastle's about an hour from here, so when we wanted to go somewhere to buy records at a store that might actually have the record you're looking for, or just to look at the hippies through our locked doors and rolled up windows, or whatever it was, just Bloomington was like the place. I mean, I suppose every state has its big college town, Madison, Ann Arbor, where you go and it's just, people are hipper, things seem to be happening, and it's definitely unique within Indiana, but I think beyond that, it's unique it's a beautiful mix of, the charm of a small town with a county seat, courthouse square, and a massive world-class university and all that offers too.
Yeah, I think I would use the word comfortable. I grew up in a town that was maybe 8,000, and in my mind that's not big enough. It was very much that almost Mayberry-esque small town vibe, which is a good place to grow up and be from. But I've also lived in Indianapolis, which is a whole lot bigger than this place, and I just found that too big. For me, Bloomington is the right balance of size. I mean, it's not a huge place, but everything you'd ever want, that I would ever want, is all here. And the pace of the city is, I find, comfortable. The people I find friendly. I have no intention of ever leaving, quite frankly. And if you can add to that an artsiness and a cosmopolitan flair that you just do not find in small towns.
Yeah.
The cosmopolitan element, for me, is a huge plus. But anyway, coming here, the different cultures and the university being people from all over the world is a huge benefit.
Yeah, the fact that all you have to do is look at the schedule of concerts and realize you can go to 4 or 5 different concerts every day of the school year here, from like someone's bassoon recital to a major opera or jazz ensemble or chamber music series. I mean, it's and then you throw in the cinema and the theater. And there's people that are afraid that they're coming to some sort of cultural desert by moving to Bloomington are always surprised at how wrong they were, and how much there is, and how easy it is to get to. You not to get on the subway and go out to Brooklyn and go hear the concert. You walk over a few blocks and you hear it for free.
I'll answer first, only because I bet you're going to say the same thing. Is it the Lotus World Music Festival?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a world-class event. You bring all these people from all over the world, people who treat music in the way that I wish everyone treated music. Almost on a spiritual level. These musicians all coming together and people hearing, sharing ideas and cultures. Nothing but a huge positive and a very positive light shown on Bloomington. People all around the world then go back home and I'm sure talk about what a great place this is and how friendly the people are.
Yeah, and Lotus is such a great model, and people have imitated it now. And for a town this size, it has off to Lee Williams, especially, to have the vision to do it. But for a town this size to pull together and make something like that not only work but become an institution is wonderful. World Music Festival in Indiana, that's great. Don't miss the IU basketball games if you can, and don't miss the opera. I mean, you can go over here and hear a world-class opera, sung by future stars in an incredible opera house. And most colleges can't say that, that's for sure. The ethnic food is spectacular. I mean, when I came here, there was a couple Chinese restaurants, and that was about it. And now you can get an astonishing array of food. So I think that's maybe the most special thing about the restaurants.
I think going down to 4th Street in the block of international restaurants is probably my favorite destination. And I'll hit all of them if I can. Or just work my way down the block.
That's a hard question, because that's one of the answers one could give about Bloomington. Is there are just so many great restaurants,
Yes.
which seems kind of so obvious you don't even think to mention it. But it's when you live in a town like Greencastle where there are 2, that's a real difference you notice when you come to town. It's like, wow, where do I eat tonight? Whoa, look at the choices. It's just one more example of how Bloomington seems like this, big city packed into this small, compact, comfortable place.
We keep talking about the restaurants and the arts and what have you, but here we are, a stone's throw from the Hoosier National Forest and Lake Monroe, one of the largest lakes in Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. So people who like the outdoors, there's a reason to come here. Well, what I discover a lot among students, I guess primarily, but people in general, is if a person comes to Bloomington and is here for a few years, they put down roots that they don't expect. And when it's time to graduate or it's time to move on to take a different job, they feel that they have to really uproot themselves in a way that is more powerful than they ever expected. So I warn people when they come to Bloomington, you will start to put down roots here in a way that you cannot foresee. But you can understand there are some people come here from maybe, you know, bigger cities, New York or California, or whatever, and they think that this is a you know, a lesser experience in some way. And then when it's time to leave, they're like, no, I don't want to leave Bloomington. I like it here. And that's the way I am. I came here and I like it here. And I plan to just stay here.
I think that's why there's so many unique things here. You know, so many people don't want to leave, so if they're going to stay, they have to figure out a cool restaurant up to open or a cool art store to open or something interesting to do, and they do.